What is going on, guys? This is role model of the IWC Gamers Goon here today with your Monday, July 26th Monday Night Raw review for once again another lackluster show of Monday Night Raw. And if you here, I'll block out some of my notifications, but it's 9:45. That means there's still 15 minutes left on Raw. I get it up on the TV right there. It's Nikki ASH going up against none other than this man's daughter, Charlotte Flair. And guess what? I don't care. I wanted to start this early because that match right there, I have no interest in whatsoever. The only thing that could make that interesting is if at the end we finally see the return of who we've been waiting on for the last 2 to 3 weeks while we've been suffering with this fake superhero crap and these two boring, and I mean boring, excuses for being in the women's title picture in Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. And that is none other than the last kicker herself, the man, the one that took over the entire wrestling industry and really just changed the way everybody thought about women's wrestling with Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch. That's the only way that turns out to be any good. And if that happens, I'm sorry if I don't catch it because I'm not going to probably be glancing at that. If I do, then I'll let you know. But who knows? Who knows? If Becky comes back tonight, that's the only way that is saved. Because I don't care. I legitimately do not care. More than likely, it's going to end with Rhea Ripley interfering. But while we're on the topic of these two fools, we started out Monday Night Raw with these fools. We started it out with Nikki ASH coming out, and she said, nothing's changed. She's still her. She's a champion now. And when she put on this costume, it gave her confidence. And it teaches us no matter what the odds are stacked against you, you can overcome it. I don't care, Nikki. I don't care. Believe me, I've overcame things in my life that are much more significant than you dressing up as a superhero becoming a champion. I don't need you to sit there and preach to me this crap. Are you Daniel Bryan? Did you really have to go through hurdles to get to where you were? Did you really have to go through hurdles? You didn't do anything spectacular at Money in the Bank. They handed you the opportunity. You didn't have to fight and claw your way via storyline like Daniel Bryan did. You didn't have to do any of that. But I'm supposed to feel bad for her because the odds were stacked. What odds were stacked against Nikki Cross? Seriously. What odds were stacked against her? They threw her into a Money in the Bank match that she was not ready for. She won the match, which she still was not ready for. She won the championship the next night, which she wasn't ready for. There's no odds stacked against you. They just wanted to throw a title on you. There was no against the odds. Really. There's no against the odds in that situation. Miss ASH. Then we had Charlotte come out saying that it's about time this nice fairy tale came to an end after only 1 week. It's not going to have a happy ending, but it's going to have a nightmare of an ending because she is a disgrace as a champion. At least me and Charlotte Flair can agree on one thing. Yes, this current run with Nikki ASH, is a disgrace, and yes, it is a disgrace to that women's championship. It's actually embarrassment that a fake superhero, and they acknowledge that it is a fake superhero, is your women's champion. It's an absolute embarrassment. So Charlotte, you do have my agreement with that statement. And then Charlotte comes out and she says, you know what, I actually declare that I am going to rematch you at SummerSlam. I didn't know I could randomly show up on Raw and sit there and just go to Bobby Lashley. I declare that I'm going to rematch you. I declare that I'm going to have a match with you at SummerSlam. You don't get to declare it. Seriously, you got to earn it. I know that's not what they usually do, but you're supposed to earn it. But just because Charlotte Flair is who she is, she has her father, she's daddy's girl, she's Vince's favorite, she gets to walk all over the place, doesn't have to build herself up in a story, doesn't have to do any of that, doesn't have to get fans behind her. She just goes in, she just wakes up one morning, you know what, Vince, I want a championship match. Well, go out there and ask for one. and we're going to give it to you. Makes 0 sense. Then she said for months fans have been cheering against her, against the injustices that were going on. Okay, Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn might hear with Charlotte Flair talking about injustices. Leave that to somebody that's actually entertaining, please. At least Sami Zayn can get me to smile. And then she said the reason why we were all booing her is because none of us can handle being losers. We look at our neighbors, we look at classmates, we look at everybody else and realize that they're better than us because we aren't that good. And we all wish we could be like Charlotte, where they're the best at everything. And then Rhea Ripley's music comes on, and she comes out and she says, well, she wants her rematch at SummerSlam. And she wants to beat Nikki Cross at SummerSlam. And Nikki Cross says, well, who said that either of you are going to beat me at SummerSlam? Just like my butterfly, this women's division is ready for a metamorphosis. And I am going to lead that change. Woo! Am I supposed to get excited about a metamorphosis statement in a WWE promo? It's a commercial. Am I supposed to get excited that she brought up the word metamorphosis? Am I supposed to be excited that Nikki Cross acknowledged that she has a butterfly on her costume? Are they trying to tell us that they're going back to the Divas title? The butterfly title? Are we going back to that? Just say it. Just say it. Then we have Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce come on out saying that before things get out of control, there's only one fair way to settle this. I'm thinking, neither of them get championship opportunities. We're going to actually give her somebody that deserves it. Actually, that's not what I'm thinking, but that's what I'm hoping they say. There's only one way to settle this. Neither of you are going to get a shot. And instead, we are going to give a shot to a former women's champion, Becky Lynch. That's what I was hoping they would say, but they didn't go that route. I wish they would have. That would have made things a lot better. But instead, there's only one way to go about this, and that is for a triple threat match at SummerSlam. That sounds awful. That literally sounds terrible. I am glad that the WWE is already telling me exactly when my nap time will be during SummerSlam. SummerSlam is going to be a 4 to 5 hour show, more than likely. It's going to be a big show. They want to make it WrestleMania. It might be 6 hours. They want to make it a WrestleMania type of show on Saturday night. Why do you think it's on a Saturday night? Because they know people are going to be going back to work on Monday, and they don't want staying up all night on Sunday because the show's probably going to be long. That's probably why they don't want it on a Sunday. So on SummerSlam, we're going to get that. And that's going to give me a chance to get a 20-minute nap. Between whatever matches are going on, that match can be my 20-minute nap to help save me for the review later in the show. Because I look at this match and I see not one, but two very, very, very extremely boring wrestlers as of this point. And I hate saying that about Rhea Ripley because of how great she was in NXT. I don't mind saying that about Charlotte Flair. She's been terrible. She's been terrible over the years. She is just overused, overpushed. It's just ridiculous. The amount of times we have to see Charlotte Flair in a main event situation, in a title situation, every time that there's something going on, it's always Charlotte Flair. It's never anybody else. You can't get Naomi a shot. You can't get Liv Morgan a shot. I'm saying people that aren't even on Raw because the rest of the Raw Women's division is complete garbage. What am I supposed to sit there and say? Yeah, we need to get Natalya a shot. That'd be even more boring. The entire Raw Women's division is boring. Boring. Eva Marie, boring. Doudrop, I hate to say it to her, but she's boring. Alexa Bliss, at least she has some interest. She's not boring. Alexa Bliss isn't boring. I'm just not a huge fan of the voodoo crap. She's not boring, though. Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair are boring. They're boring. Every time they come on the TV, I legitimately find myself looking at my phone, going to grab food, getting a drink from the fridge, going to the bathroom, maybe dozing off for a few seconds, tweeting. Literally, every time that they are on TV, they're just not interesting. You always want to go find something else to do because you don't care. When Bobby Lashley's on TV, I don't turn my eyes away from TV. Why is that? Because Bobby Lashley's been billed as a champion. He's been billed as a champion. When Roman Reigns is on TV on SmackDown, do I turn my head away from the TV? No. Why can't we do that with every division? Why can't we do that with every division? And then after that was announced, Charlotte said she wanted some match, which is happening right now, and it looks like she might actually win. I don't know who's gonna end up winning. There's still another 5 minutes. But she wanted a match later on in the night against Nikki Ash. Why? I don't know. So that was a complete disaster of a first segment. It starts Raw off on a very positive note. And mind you, it should be a positive note because we had one of the most positive individuals in all the world making a guest appearance at Monday Night Raw, believe it or not. Who was it, you might ask? None other than good old St. Nick, Santa Claus, was sitting front row. At least that's what Twitter was saying. There was a guy that had the big beard and looked similar to the general idea of what Saint Nick, Santa Claus looks like. He was sitting front row, so there was a little bit of fun there with that. But he was the highlight of that segment. Nobody was sitting there talking about Rhea Ripley or Charlotte or Nikki Ash. Not a single person cared about that. Everybody's like, look at Santa Claus, he made his appearance. So, good old Santa Claus made his Raw debut. And Charlotte won. Charlotte just won from what I'm seeing because they just rose her hand. So, Charlotte won in the main event. I'm not going to really talk about the main event because I really don't care. They called somebody to the ring with the mic. I really don't know what's happening. I'm going to be pissed at myself if Becky Lynch returns to confront Charlotte Flair and just take her on the show. I said it in my group chat that I hope that at SummerSlam, instead of having this match, we see Becky Lynch return before the match and she burns the entire damn ring to the fucking ground and says, you know what? I ain't putting up with this crappy situation in this women's division. If we're going to do this women's division right, and if we're going to do something in this women's division, we're going to do it right. I really don't know what's happening. I turned my audio off. It looks like Charlotte's just making fun of Nikki Ash. But let's just move on. Next, we got into Sheamus going up against Damian Priest, and as soon as this was brought on TV, I knew exactly where this was heading. Because they were sitting there saying, well, Damian Priest needs to finally vie for an opportunity. He needs to get something. He needs to get a win behind him to help him solidify himself and get an opportunity. And I was like, oh, well, you're going to beat the United States champion Sheamus. That's going to be your opportunity, and we're going to see it at SummerSlam. And that's exactly what happened. Damian Priest ends up beating Sheamus. And more than likely, we're going to see Damian Priest against Sheamus at SummerSlam. I don't know why we're going to be seeing Damian Priest against Sheamus at SummerSlam. To me, it seems rushed. It seems out of place. I keep looking. I'm sorry, but if Becky turns on that TV, I'm pausing this for a moment. But we see Damian Priest go throughout this entire Money in the Bank build, a build that's supposed to establish new stars, a build that's supposed to build up a momentum for a character, a build that's really supposed to make sure that you're a household name and try to solidify your name in the mid-card, maybe solidify your name potentially, if you're lucky enough, at the top of the card. But Damian Priest wasn't involved in any of that. Damian Priest wasn't able to do that. And then all of a sudden, Damian Priest is going up against Sheamus. And rather than building up Damian Priest on normal route and getting one step to the next step, we just get Damian Priest in a non-title match against Sheamus. He beats Sheamus. And now we're more than likely going to be seeing the inaugural match between the two at SummerSlam, in which Damian Priest is more than likely going to lose. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. They had Charlotte beating Nikki Cross around the entire arena, so I'm just waiting for somebody to come out at this point. But Sheamus, as a champion, has not been great, which is sad because at one point Sheamus potentially was one of the better things going on in the business. There was a point where I was thinking maybe he could be a world champion. And the credits are rolling, and Charlotte standing over Nikki Ash. As if anybody really cares. Maybe people would, maybe you get a better rating if you brought, I don't know, Becky Lynch back. But yeah, Sheamus, Damian Priest. I don't know what you want me to really say about it. Damian Priest should not have been winning. I hate when non-champions win in non-championship matches against the champion. I understand why, to help establish a storyline, but there's more ways to build somebody up. You could have legitimately had Damian Priest win or go into the Money in the Bank, come so close, but Big E still win, and then Damian Priest will sit there and say, "I had this opportunity right in my hands, and I blew it." And after knowing that I failed to realize my first goal of becoming the WWE champion, I want to set my sights on something different. I want to set my sights on the United States Championship. And then you could have had whomever else felt unjustified from the Money in the Bank come out there. They could have been in a little match. They could have qualified for a United States Championship match rather than just being handed one because he pins Sheamus. I mean, there's more creativity to booking a wrestling show than what they give you more often than not. They could be a lot more creative than what they usually are, and they just aren't creative anymore. Then we had Omos and AJ go up against the Viking Raiders. Believe it or not, the champions won. Now, there is one problem about the champions winning. I still don't agree with AJ and Omos being the champions because, unlike the Viking Raiders, they aren't a real team. The Viking Raiders are a real team. They should, I don't know, maybe be the tag team champions because they weren't a mixed together, thrown together tag team out of nowhere. But AJ and Omos are the tag team champions. Omos is going to be built, more than likely, I'm going to assume, in a manner in which he's going to be the dominant force. Obviously, that's what they're doing right now, but it's going to be the point where AJ is going to turn, or is going to make Omos to the point where he's going to want to turn on him, and Omos is going to have enough of AJ. AJ's going to somehow push his buttons a little too far, and Omos is going to turn. Omos is going to have a match against AJ down the line, and Omos is more likely going to beat AJ, and they're probably going to end up starting to try to build Omos up the same way they try to build Braun Strowman up, getting him single matches against some of the top guys, against the AJs, against the Lashleys, against the whomever's, whoever you really want from that Raw roster. There's not really too many credible names on it anymore, but whomever you want, you're going to have to try probably helping him suppress the fact that he's not that great in the ring. They're going to have to do the thing what they did with Strowman, where they're going to have him come out and flip over things, flip over trash cans, dump trucks, whatever. That's probably the route they're going with Omos. Is they're going to try to make him into this big monster that they failed with the first time with Braun Strowman. And from what I understand, they're interested in bringing Braun Strowman back. Does that surprise you? Because it doesn't surprise me. And if Braun Strowman comes back, I guarantee you we're going to be seeing a match with Omos and Braun Strowman down the line. That's just the way things roll. Then we got Drew McIntyre and Jinder Mahal segment. Jinder Mahal comes out and he introduces Drew McIntyre to his new attorney and says that they're going to be suing Drew McIntyre if Drew McIntyre does not apologize. Drew McIntyre says, "Well, I'll let the crowd decide. Should I apologize to Jinder, or should I just say screw the attorney and beat their ass?" Drew chooses the latter. Veer has a match with him. Drew ends up losing the match via DQ. Jinder throws Veer a chair. Veer's holding it, tries to go to slap him, hits a claymore into the chair, and then after the match, Drew also attacks the attorney. So we're probably going to be seeing some stupid lawsuit storyline coming up soon. Are we happy about it? Absolutely not. I don't know what to tell you. That's another match at SummerSlam that is basically telling you, here's a bathroom break, here's a order your food break, here's a go get a drink break, here's a nap break. Drew McIntyre is one of the weirdest cases I think I've ever seen in wrestling. Drew McIntyre went from being probably the most popular guy outside of maybe Roman Reigns in the WWE to being one of the most stale people I think I've ever seen. He has lost all bit of credibility and all bit of momentum after he lost to Lashley. And then we drug it through the water with Lashley. We just couldn't move him on. He lost all bit of momentum. And instead of building his momentum back up, maybe making him credible again, maybe fighting his way back up and becoming, once again, a legit opponent for Bobby Lashley, we just handed him things and handed him things and handed him things. And then we handed him a Money in the Bank match, which made 0 sense after he couldn't even face the champion from the brand that put him on to the show. Drew McIntyre's, he's just lost every single bit of momentum. And then you put him up at SummerSlam, mind you, one of the biggest shows that you want to make a WrestleMania caliber show. You put him up against none other than probably one of the least reacted to guys on your brand in Jinder Mahal. People are not going to like that in Vegas. Yeah, there might be some people that are going to like that match, but I don't think the majority of people are going to be very fond of the fact that we're having a Jinder Mahal versus Drew McIntyre match at one of our biggest shows of the year. Our second biggest show, but you want to make it our biggest show of the year. Who knows? It might legitimately be the biggest show of the year in terms of hours. Maybe. But this SummerSlam is not shaping up to be good outside of what Roman Reigns and Finn Balor, if that is the match, because I still think we might see Cena. Outside of that, this SummerSlam is not shaping up to be good whatsoever. I mean, we might have Edge and Rollins. That could be good. That would be good. But the Raw side of things, man. Their top build match is Lashley versus Goldberg. That sounds miserable. And then we're seeing Sheamus and Damian Priest, which it's probably going to be a good match if we end up getting that match at SummerSlam. It's probably going to be a good match, but it's not going to feel like a SummerSlam caliber match. The women's match is a joke. The tag team matches, you all know, will be a joke. Both of them will be a joke. SummerSlam isn't going to feel like SummerSlam. SummerSlam might be the lamest party of the summer. It's supposed to be the biggest party of the summer. Well, you got the wrong people booking it if you want it to be the biggest party of the summer, because this SummerSlam is shaping up to be one of the lamest parties of the summer. We went from saying Money in the Bank was a good, solid show. It wasn't a great show, but it was a good show. And then we're probably going to go talk about SummerSlam on a completely different side, and we're going to sit there and say this is one of the worst SummerSlams we've ever seen. That's the way it's shaping up. And I hate to say that because I love to go into shows and hope for the best. I love to go into shows and sit there and I say it almost every time we watch this show. Oh, we're coming into this show. It doesn't look very good, but that probably means it won't be a good show because they always seem, when the shows are really bad, when you think the show's going to be really bad, they always seem to blow out your expectations, put on an okay, good show. And then when your expectations are really high, they'll put on a terrible show. And I feel like this SummerSlam might be one of the first times we're going to be going into a show. I'm going to have low expectations, and the show might actually go worse than my expectations. This show is looking awful. This show looks awful. And that's not to mention that I don't believe I'm going to be interested in whatever SmackDown does in their women's division. I'm not going to believe or care. I might care about what they do with Apollo, depending on what they do with Apollo. Unless we get something cool with the Usos and their tag team championship, I'm probably not going to care too much about their tag team titles. And then what else are we going to have? John Cena maybe making an appearance. Maybe Becky making an appearance. SummerSlam is not shaping up to look very good. There's 2 matches that I think are happening at SummerSlam right now, as of right now, from what I've gathered and what I can interpret so far, with Seth and Edge and Roman and Finn, and maybe Roman and Cena, depending on whatever happens, because I could still see them going Roman and Cena if we have Cena maybe turn rogue and attack Finn Balor. I don't know where they're going necessarily with that. Maybe they turn into a triple threat, but Roman, he's perfectly fine at SummerSlam. Whoever he faces, Roman is perfectly fine. I'm fully invested in it because they're not going to put Roman up against some scrub. They're either having him up against Finn or they're having him up against Cena. And then you look over and you see the Seth and Edge match, and you can get behind that too because there's actually a story basis to it. And those are 2 matches that I'll look forward to coming into SummerSlam. But everything else so far does not look like it's going to be very interesting. Talking about things that aren't interesting, I don't even know why I wrote notes on this. I don't know why I'm giving this the time of day in this episode, and that is Doudrop and Eva going up against Tamina and Natalya. I don't know if you remember this, but I will have to reiterate it because it is going to be a thing that we're going to have to reiterate many times up until we hopefully get relinquished with having to see this individual on TV, and that is Eva Marie is complete and utter trash. She is garbage. She is not good at the sport of professional wrestling. She is not a good character. She is not good. She does not have any place in a ring. She does not belong anywhere near a ring. And that's nothing against her necessarily, because I know wrestling was never her number 1 priority. She has other adventures and things that she does outside of wrestling, and that's perfectly fine. There's no hate towards the woman behind Eva Marie, but as a professional wrestler, she does not belong anywhere near the ring. Just like as a professional wrestler, I belong nowhere near the ring. Me and her probably have about similar, if not, I might be better, skill-wise, in a wrestling ring than Eva Marie. And I've not had a single day of training in my life. But I'm not dumb enough to sit there and go on TV and fake like I'm a wrestler. I would sit there and be like, no, well, I mean, if you're going to do it, at least make me good. At least train me and make me somewhat watchable. Make me be able to have at least a quality match. She don't care about the sport of professional wrestling. And not everybody needs to. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that she has other things she focuses on. But wrestling was never her number 1 priority. I didn't see Eva Marie as soon as she got released from the WWE the first time. I didn't see her go and do independent shows. Maybe I'm wrong. But I didn't see her showing up on those independent scenes. Or at least I didn't hear of anything. I saw her doing her modeling things. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe she was also doing indie shows. But I would not be able to tell. She has not done a single thing since returning. Doudrop has done everything. Doudrop ended up, Eva ended up getting distracted because Alexa Bliss's doll came out, and I don't even know what it said, and it was something about a Lilylution, to mock Evolution, and that allowed Tamina to pick up the victory. Do I care at the end of the day? Absolutely not. I feel so bad for Doudrop. I feel so bad for the woman behind her in Piper Nivens. I feel so bad for her. She is so much better than what they have her in. They have her in there with 3 of the weirdest cast of characters you can place yourself with. Natalya, who's not a bad wrestler, but she's just not interesting. She's boring. She's not a bad wrestler. Don't get me wrong. Natalya's a good wrestler, but she's missing. She's not somebody that's charismatic. Tamina, do we even need to talk about her? She's been in the business how long? She has not done a single meaningful thing. And then Eva Marie, who we just sat there and talked about for about 2 minutes about how garbage she is. And then you got Piper Nivens, who can actually wrestle, that you renamed a Doudrop. And we got her just messing around and waiting on Eva Marie. Eventually, we're going to get a match between Doudrop and Eva. Now, that's the one thing I do know. And I wouldn't be surprised if we won. Speaking about not being surprised, this makes a lot of sense. We have a guy that has been away from TV for a while, and just started recently being back on the show, and Keith Lee going up against a guy that ruined his debut, had his debut ruined last week by Jeff Hardy, who, by the way, came down with COVID-19. Shout out to Jeff Hardy. Hopefully you get better, and hopefully you're staying safe, and just making sure you're getting healthy, get a lot of fluids in you, and make sure that you're not going to be affected too much by the virus. But Karrion Kross going up against Keith Lee. Why is this match happening? God knows. I'm about sick and tired of seeing Karrion Kross on Raw, and it's been 2 weeks. If we're not going to do Karrion Kross the way Karrion Kross has done in NXT, then why bother? Why bother? Shout out to my boy Indigo, because he sent me something in my group chat earlier tonight, and it was of Adam Cole talking to Karrion Kross saying, NXT's done everything to protect you. They've given you the entrance. They've given you the girl. They've given you opportunity after opportunity to make you look as good as you look. And when I look good, it's when the bell rings. You look good because you have all this extra stuff. And I hate to say it about Karrion Kross, because I think he is a good in-ring performer, but that is so true. That is so true. He lost all of his luster as soon as he made his debut on Raw, without Scarlett, without his entrance, without being a dominant, and I mean dominant, victor. You look at what he did on NXT just this previous week. He didn't look like a chump. He didn't come out here and look like a bum. But you would have watched Monday Night Raw, you've seen Jeff Hardy beat him in 2 minutes, and you had no idea what NXT is. You had no idea maybe Karrion Kross is an NXT champion. You probably think Karrion Kross is a jobber. Great job to build up that brand. You wonder why that brand will never beat AEW in the ratings, because you do a terrible job at making that brand look like a legit brand. I don't know, maybe if you came in and did an NXT invasion and had Karrion Kross actually beat everybody on Raw and say, well, where did this guy come from? Oh, he came from our minor league system. He came from NXT. People would go over and say, well, maybe let's look at NXT. Let's maybe give NXT a view. Maybe let's bump NXT up to a 1.0. They're not doing that. They haven't been doing that. You think Vince McMahon cares about NXT? He doesn't care about NXT. Vince McMahon's main objective from day one, since everybody was telling him Triple H was booking a better show, ever since he caught wind that he was not as good as his son-in-law, ever since he caught wind from that moment forward, Vince's number one goal in his life is to ruin and destroy everything that Triple H makes, and he will not stop until NXT is dead. You think I'm joking? Look at Shinsuke Nakamura, look at Kevin Owens, look at Sami Zayn. Look at Finn Balor. Finn Balor had to go back to NXT. Don't even look remotely like what he should. Samoa Joe. The list goes on. They make me fear for the day that Ciampa and Adam Cole get called up. Johnny Gargano gets called up. Look what they did to Andrade. Andrade comes from NXT, being one of, if not the best things in all of professional wrestling, comes to the main roster, and they don't know what to do with him. They don't have him in any world title promotions. They don't have him doing anything crazy. Ricochet. What happened to Ricochet? So many examples that I can't even stop naming them. Ember Moon. Asuka, she had a good run on the main roster. Ember Moon. Liv Morgan. Ruby Riott. Mind you, they cleared space by getting rid of Ruby Riott so that they can bring in Miss Pink Hair herself, Eva Marie. And I'm the only one that finds issues with these things. Mickie James, they couldn't figure out something for. Why? Because, well, Mickie James did show up in NXT at one point. And people were happy about it. Kairi Sane. Eventually, Io Shirai. It's going to happen more than likely, sooner rather than later, with Toni Storm. Eventually, Walter. We've seen it with AOP. We've seen it with the Viking Raiders. We've seen it many times. Every time they get called up to the main roster, they're made to look like they suck, like they're garbage, like they can't hang. And you think that people are going to tune in to a company or to a brand that is producing the jobbers for a show that people are already losing interest in. They're not bringing anybody new and exciting in and making them new exciting on. Yes, bringing and carrying across as new and exciting. Yes, I understand you can make that argument, but they're not booking them like they're new and exciting. They're just not. And then they wonder why people don't tune in. The answer's in black and white. It's on the paper. It is that you are the one creating your own mistakes. You are the one responsible for your own actions. And you are the one that doesn't understand why you're in the wrong. Book people the proper way. There's no need to touch Karrion Kross. There's no need to touch him as soon as he debuts. There's no need to ruin anything. There's no need to take away Charlotte. Scarlett, my bad. There's no need to take away the entrance. There's no need to take away his dominant winning streak. There's no need. Especially when you're going up against Jeff Hardy, who once again is, I don't know how many times I have to say this and people not believe me because, well, he's a Hall of Fame talent. He hasn't done anything. Jeff Hardy is not in anything meaningful. He's not going to be a champion anytime soon. He has no reason to be winning. None at all. But he has to beat Karrion Kross, somebody that you want to build up. You want new and exciting faces to help boost ratings, but that's what you do to your new and exciting faces. You have them lose. It doesn't take a rocket science to figure it out. I'm just some dude sitting here in a Ric Flair shirt, and I can figure this out. I don't have a pen and paper in front of me that has a booking scenario down. That's all off the top of my head. Why don't we have Karrion Kross come in and beat Jeff Hardy? And then why don't we have Karrion Kross come in and start running through the bottom, like the guys in the middle, mid card, and to the point where eventually, instead of having to panically take the title off of Karrion Kross because we want to call him up all of a sudden, we could have built him up, and instead of, believe it or not, taking the title off him, we have NXT defending their NXT championship. We have the NXT champion here in Karrion Kross going up against the WWE champion and Bobby Lashley. We have Karrion Kross beat Bobby Lashley at, let's say, Royal Rumble, and then the next week on NXT, we have Karrion Kross come back down and say, you know what, because I became the WWE champion, because I've realized my dream, because I've done what I wanted to do, instead of defending my NXT championship and working double duty, I think it would be best if I relinquish my title and leave my winning streak here in NXT and leave this title in NXT while I go dominate that main roster. Why couldn't we do something like that? And that took me, 30 seconds? 30 seconds? These guys got 7 days in between shows, and they can't figure out how to book one victory for Karrion Kross. He beat Keith Lee, but that's not where the issue stems. It's just not. Then we had Nikki Ash and Rhea. Rhea said she hopes Nikki beats Charlotte. Why? I don't care who wins. I don't really care. Then we had Mansoor and Mustafa Ali, formerly known as, going up against T-Bar and Mace. Mansoor got the roll-up pin on, I believe it was Mace. Mansoor is a guy that I'm actually pretty fond of. I did say that earlier today. In a DJ Storms tweet, he tweeted out saying that he thinks Mansoor and Ali have some potential as a tag team. Mansoor is a guy that I've been behind for a little while now. I didn't like him at first, back when we saw him the first time in the Greatest Royal Rumble. I didn't like him during that stint, but ever since he's been over and he's been on TV, he's been okay for me. I think he's gonna be fine. It got to the point where I was sitting there saying maybe we should put Mansoor Money in the Bank. I think the guy's got potential. Pair him with Ali. I think that's a good tag team. And we could hopefully see them get AJ and Omos away from the tag team division, because AJ needs to be somewhere that is not in that tag team division. He is too good to be carrying around 7-foot boy Omos. Just this. Then we have Bobby Lashley and MVP come out saying that Goldberg disrespected Bobby Lashley. But the question is up to Bobby Lashley. Is Goldberg next? Lashley says, I'm not going to respond because Goldberg disrespected me. But I will say that this is my ring and I will not be disrespected. Then we had Cedric Alexander come out. And then the light bulbs start kicking for me. I'm like, Cedric Alexander versus Bobby Lashley. Think of it. So much better than Goldberg versus Bobby Lashley. And then we see Shelton Benjamin come out. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this would be so much better at SummerSlam. You do something that actually has a story behind it. You put up the Hurt Business up against each other. You have Bobby Lashley do exactly what Roman Reigns did to John Cena, and you say, actually, Goldberg, you know what? I think my answer to you is no. Because I want to beat their asses at SummerSlam. And we could have had Hurt Business at SummerSlam in a triple threat match. But instead we did a 2-on-1 tonight and Bobby Lashley squashed both. I could have got behind a Hurt Business match that wasn't a squash match. I would have believed it wasn't a squash match. And they didn't take me up on that offer with the Hurt Business at SummerSlam. I think that would have been so much better. If they put the Hurt Business going up against all three of the Hurt Business going up against each other, it's not MVP. I think I would have been behind it. Just like I'm behind the Roman stuff, and just like I'm behind Seth and Edge. And then we got into Riddle versus Johnny Drip Drip, Johnny Morrison. Johnny Drip Drip won because AJ and Omos came out. Omos snapped the scooter in half. And then Omos and AJ came into the ring and attacked Riddle. I don't know why. I don't care. Then we had R-Truth versus Reginald. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm at this point, I went to the bathroom and I came back and I don't know what happened. But it was for the 24/7/11 64 94 whatever bogusness you want to call it, the McDonald's championship there. I wouldn't be surprised if R-Truth won. I don't know. And then I guess Charlotte Flair won. I don't know. I didn't watch. So was Monday Night Raw a good show today? Absolutely not. It wasn't. It was a waste of 3 hours. But in their defense, they did get my head spinning. They did get my head going. I was able to think of some SummerSlam matches for them, but those aren't the ones they're going to be taking, so it doesn't really matter at the end. But I'm going to get on out of here. Y'all know where to follow me. Twitter, GamersGoonYT, Instagram, thegoongameryt. And then, obviously, if you're watching this video still, make sure you click that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe. And make sure you leave a comment down below. Let me know how you thought Monday Night Raw went today. NXT will have a review tomorrow night. I don't work during the night. I do work during the day tomorrow. And I will also be getting a NBA mock draft video, believe it or not, out tomorrow. Thursday's still up in the air. I don't know what's going to happen on Thursday. Wednesday night, I will not be doing AEW review, so it is going to be on this weekend's Sunday review. And then Friday, Friday I'll be getting a SmackDown. Friday I'll have a SmackDown review out. So I think the only one I'm missing this week is AEW. And then the big news video up on Sunday. So that's what I got coming for y'all. I might do a little bit of a recap on the NBA draft on Friday. I'm not sure yet, but I do know I'm getting a mock draft video out tomorrow. So if any of you are interested for that, definitely stay around the channel and make sure you subscribe and turn on those post notifications. But thank y'all for watching. I'll see you guys next time.